Welcome to the Video Lab live show, your weekly interactive live show about video specific marketing and online video content. Looks like we have all of the platforms up this week. Last week we were totally missing LinkedIn. I don't know what was going on with that platform, but we are actually on LinkedIn this week. So this is exciting stuff right here. This is exciting stuff. Well, if you're a business or brand, sometimes your online video content can get in a rut. Have you been there? Are you like, I just need to try something new to increase engagement, get more views, etc., maybe get more eyeballs on my product? Well, part of the Video Lab live show is to show you trends and ways that other people are doing online video to give you ideas and think about online video content differently. One of those trends, huge trend, a $21.2 billion trend, is influencer marketing and getting your product or brand in front of different communities and audiences by leveraging a certain content creator or maybe a well-known person's influence. In fact, get this, according to aspire.io, which is an influencer marketing platform, in 2023, 68% of brands increased their influencer marketing budgets. 68% of brands increased their influencer marketing budgets. That's why I wanted to have Sean Robinson from Panasonic LUMIX on the show. And I'm so grateful that he is willing to come onto the show and talk about the power of influencer marketing from a company perspective. They're doing this on a global scale and have had some major wins lately that hopefully we can get into. We'll be talking about what influencer marketing is from Sean's perspective, how Panasonic is supporting creators, what platforms are strongest, and how even if you're a small business, you can take these same principles and apply them on a local level. It's going to be a great conversation. And this live show is interactive, which means at any point you can jump into the comments or chat and bring your questions or input to the show. And how about this? Let's start by getting this chat section warmed up a little bit. Let's get it warmed up a little bit. Just jump into the chat, say hi, and let me know where you're watching from. Say hi, let me know where you're watching from. Paul jumps in from Somerset in England. Welcome to the live stream, Paul. So good to be here. So good to have you here. Now, if you don't know me, my name is Caleb, and I'm a video educator and content creator and founder of the Video Lab Sioux Falls, which is fully video education, kind of like this show, and fully video production for social media and website videos, and a video studio for content creators that need to make simple, quick turnaround video content. If you want to learn more about how you can rent out this studio that I'm in right now, visit thevideolabsf.com/studio. I've been doing small scale freelance video production since 2012 in and around Sioux Falls. I also have a YouTube channel, which is just my name. It's very niche camera content, and I work with filmmaking brands from around the world making, video review videos and tutorials. And most of my channel actually revolves around helping people master their LUMIX cameras, Panasonic LUMIX. So I'm so excited to have Sean from LUMIX on the show today. And I don't know, we might actually end up nerding out a little bit about some cameras. I'm sure that's actually going to happen. That'll probably happen. Now, I started the Video Lab live show as a mostly weekly interactive live show streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is going strong still. And it's to help you harness the power of online video content with video-specific marketing tips, tricks, and trends. And I really hope the show brings some value to you and provides things that you can incorporate into your video workflow, like right away, maybe this afternoon. Now, if you're just joining us, I've got Sean Robinson from Panasonic LUMIX on the show today. And remember, this is an interactive live stream. Jump into the chat or comments. Say hi. Let me know where you're watching from. And maybe toss in there, if you're not using video content for your business, what's one thing holding you back from uploading video content? What's one thing holding you back from uploading video content? All right, now I do have a little disclaimer, and I have to say this every week. I have to say this before we get into the conversation. These episodes are just to show some possibilities that you have with video, but doesn't necessarily mean everything will work like magic for you. It does require a ton of hard work and consistency and some strategy, and possibly even partnering with professionals to get the results that you are hoping for. And with that being said, I want to bring in Sean, and this guest intro is sponsored by The Breaks Coffee. Hey, Sean.
Hey, what's going on, Caleb? How
Not
are
a
you?
whole lot. How you doing?
I'm doing great, great.
Good.
Just back from vacation, so
Yes.
this is a fun thing to come off of vacation to take part in.
All right. Yeah, yeah. Just jump right onto a live stream from vacation. I love it.
Yeah, that's all good.
Now, do you feel relaxed after your vacation, or are you more stressed out after your vacation?
Uh,
What
bit
kind of
bit of both,
vacationer are
honestly.
you?
It's
Yeah.
there's there's always that like I'm relaxed. I haven't had to worry about anything for like the last week, and then
Yeah.
and then like you really sit and like by day two that you're back, you're like, oh man, how many emails do I have to go through now? But
Yeah.
nah,
A ton of
it's all good.
emails. Well, I'm so excited to have you on the show today, Sean. This is
Yeah,
really cool, that you're taking the time and willing to do this. Now, can
of
you
course.
just explain a little bit what your role is with Panasonic LUMIX?
Yeah, so there's really two kind of facets to what I do for the company.
Yep.
One of them is more internal. So I work with our product teams, I work with our engineering teams in Japan, and really kind of get down into the nitty gritty of what our products do, what they can do, what they maybe possibly can do in the
Yep.
future. Uh, and all of that is centered around what the community is telling us they want to see in
Okay.
products.
Cool.
So that's one facet. That's actually a really fun part of the
Yeah.
job. The other part, which is equally fun in its own respect, is marketing.
Yeah.
And I know for a lot of people in the photo video world, you hear this person's a marketer, and it may be like, oh man,
Ooh.
this is someone who's just trying to sell me something,
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
thing.
Let's step
But
back a little bit.
yeah, but we handle marketing a little differently, at least in my respect, with the company. My job is to work with people like yourself,
Oh, sweet.
any kind of photo, video content creator out there,
Yep.
any in general, professional, even consumer,
Mm.
what's called consumer. So that's someone just getting into this world, and provide them a touch point into the brand.
Right.
That's why I do the live stream every week.
Yep.
That's why I'm intermittently I'm on the various social media platforms trying to help people troubleshoot for them, and just really just provide support from the company to the community. And
It's really cool.
I say that a lot, and I
Yeah.
and I mean it in the most sincere way. It's that we view the photo video industry as a community,
Yeah.
not
Right.
as the more traditional way. It is all about building those relationships
Mm.
in the community, and that's really what I kind of got to do as
Yeah.
a massive company. I get to basically be kind of like a community manager,
Yeah.
but
Right.
with a lot more responsibilities than
Well,
that.
and I think that's very noticeable, like, from my end, I feel like that's very noticeable in that community aspect with
Hmm.
Lumix, and that's one of the things I love about using Lumix cameras. Like, I'm using one right now for this live stream, right? For the behind the scenes shot that I have over here, all Lumix cameras. And one of my favorite parts is that community aspect.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Now, tell us a little bit about that live stream you do. So you do a live stream on Thursdays on the LUMIX USA YouTube channel. So
Yes.
tell us a little bit about that live stream.
Yeah, so the Lumix Live, that's our live stream platform. As you said, it's on Lumix USA's account every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. And the whole purpose of that stream was to give the community a voice
Yeah.
within the brand. To my knowledge, we are still the only camera brand actually doing that, where you have
Oh,
the
no.
ability to actually get your questions answered. Obviously, we can't answer every question that
Yep.
people ask, but you have a direct touch point. It's not going through third party. It's not someone who knows somebody who heard something someday,
Hmm.
in a Facebook group, and that's what the stream is. So I'll cover everything from new product announcements.
Yep.
We've done a couple of those on the stream. We've gone live showing off the technologies in the camera. So like S5 Mark II X, I've
Yep.
done live streams from the camera using its live stream functionality.
Love it.
So trying to show you practical use cases of the technologies that we deploy. And yeah, just tons of Q&A. Really no question is off limits.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of whether or not I can answer them with the knowledge that I have within our company and what I'm allowed to say.
Yep. Yep.
And then in some cases, stuff that I just honestly don't have an answer for.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, we've been doing this since 2019, I believe. 2019 or 2020, I think,
Sweet.
is about when it started, right when everything kind of shut down and I
Oh,
wasn't
I
able
know.
to travel for my job anymore.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
a live stream is a good way to kind of get through a pandemic.
yeah, it really is.
Good community
It
through a
saved my
pandemic.
job.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
So
Yeah, that's a good way. If you need to save your job, start a live stream. No, I'm just joking.
yeah. Disclaimer: not every
Disclaimer.
company is going to be cool with
Yes,
that, but
yes, exactly. Love it. Well, John, are you a coffee fan?
yes, I
Do
am.
you
I
like
am
drinking
a.
coffee? Well,
I
today, I wish you could be in the studio, Sean, here in South Dakota and drink the Breaks coffee. I'm drinking the Breaks Absolute Blend right now. And let me tell you something. I brewed it in my office. It smells so good. Tastes even better. And you can get it right here at thebreakscoffeeroasting.com. And I highly encourage you to, yeah, there, Sean's pointing towards the QR code there. So if you're watching this on a computer, take your phone, scan that QR code, and order this bag right here of the Absolute Blend. And look at that autofocus. That's an Lumix inside joke right there. So, all right. Thank you, The Breaks, for sponsoring this guest intro. I'm going to pop this QR code off here, Sean, and I'm going to punch the cameras in. And that means things are getting serious on this conversation right now. I'm going to pull up
very
this chat. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Pull up this chat here. Remember, jump in the chat if you have any questions for Sean. We're talking about influencer marketing. And Sean, are we talking about like people doing these like little funny dances in front of the camera, for Instagram and things like that? I feel like when we think about influencers, sometimes that's kind of what pops into our head. We think of like maybe, I don't know, people on the beach like crawling in the sand, like trying to get the shot and stuff, or people dancing, at a bus stop or something like that. But when we think
yeah.
of influencer marketing, and an influencer kind of is, I don't know, like not the greatest term sometimes, but this
No.
is what it is. This is influencer marketing is huge. $21.2 billion industry just
Yeah.
blows my mind. Now, when we kind of define what influencer marketing is, how would you define what influencer marketing is?
So this is like I think one of those biggest things that people struggle with when you hear it, right? As we were just saying, it's that depending on the company that you're looking at or you're talking to, they're going to define influencer marketing differently.
Gotcha.
When it comes to our perspective,
Yep.
and the part of it that I'm involved with, it is basically the concept of working with people that are already excited about a specific product or a
Yeah.
brand
Nice.
and providing that person support to amplify their message. Um, and that support comes in a very different level of idea. There
Right. Yep.
are, there's paid sponsorship, there's
Mhm.
unpaid sponsorship, there's product exchange, there's product loan, there's, um, each of these different, kind of tiers,
Yeah.
basically. And the way companies approach it and the way we approach it is really from that perspective of either you've shown interest in the product before and you
Mhm.
have a decent viewership or
Yep.
following. So
Yep.
there are people that are looking to you already because you've made a name for yourself within a community.
Yep.
And we want to show support there.
Yeah.
So that could be through, hey, you're a product reviewer and you want to have access to equipment ahead of, release. And that's
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
NDAs get involved, all that fun stuff. Or you're making a bunch of really cool content and you reach out to a brand or something like that. And you're like, hey, I got this cool project, I got this idea that I want to work on,
Yeah.
and it would be cool if I had a support from a company. Those are the two main ways that we kind of support through the
Sweet.
community. There is also the paid sponsorship side, which we'll talk about probably a little bit later,
Yep.
because there are differences between a paid
Totally.
sponsorship and what people passionately call free gear online, even though
Yep.
gear isn't free
Yeah.
when it comes that way. And it's a really interesting topic to talk about. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Excellent. I love that. And we were talking a little bit too, kind of before the show, and one of the things that you said kind of before the show as well is like it's almost like an expansion of your team, like working with
Mhm.
some content creators or influencers or something. It's like an expansion of your marketing team or your
Yeah.
company or something in a way. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something that, just as you said, just by the sheer numbers, you can see
Yeah.
how important this aspect of marketing is
Yeah.
that companies need to evolve, and
Right.
companies won't always have those resources on hand
Mm.
with subject matter
Yep.
experts, with um people that can keep up with the trends.
Yeah.
And that's where this quote unquote influencer marketing kind of started,
Yeah.
is find the people who actually know and can relate to the
Totally.
market and truly support them.
Yeah.
Some people do it way more heavy handed than others. There's, like you said, the
Mhm.
ads and stuff where you see people
Oh,
doing
yeah.
the floss or
Yeah.
any of that kind of stuff. It's
Oh,
like,
man.
okay, that's kind of a little ridiculous, but in some
Uh,
cases it works. It depends on the
it's
product.
it's kinda working. It's kinda working. I
Yeah.
One of the things I like too about this whole concept of influencer marketing and content creators is like yes, you are a camera company, but sometimes like, maybe there's like a food brand or something that reach out to an influencer and want to use that influencer. Well, that kind of like what you were saying, that influencer has pretty much all of the gear and things, lights, cameras to make that content where that brand doesn't have to go and like basically purchase all that stuff to create their own videos and stuff, Like
Exactly.
a lot of times that influencer or content creator, we're going to use those terms interchangeably throughout this show.
Yeah.
But like they have everything that they need and they know the trends on those different platforms. It's such a great use of, whether it's a sponsored one, a great use of funds for the company, or a great use of product for that company to get that brand awareness out. Can I read
Yeah.
some crazy stats real quick about
Yeah. I
influencer
definitely.
marketing? Okay, so these are coming from aspire.io, which it's a like an influencer marketing platform. So if you are looking for people, you can go there or something along those lines. But what so I already said that 68% of brands increase their influencer marketing in 2023. So these are all 2023 stats. Ready? 69% of brands are working with smaller creators. So 69% of brands are so you don't have to like, if you're a content creator or if you're a brand reaching out to content creators, they don't have to be like huge followings, right? So another one that stuck out to me is that 94% of brands are planning to invest more into video content. I'm reading these slow because I can't read my handwriting. So that's why I'm reading these kind of slow. But 94% of brands are planning to invest more into video content. 94%. That's so
Oh
much.
yeah.
Um, YouTubers achieve a 50% engagement rate. So companies that work with people on the YouTube platform, those creators are achieving a 50% engagement rate on their content. And
Yeah.
that's those are crazy stats to me. Those are like so
Yeah.
high. And like you being in marketing, like you probably look at a lot of stats and things like that, but like those are incredible numbers.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I think there's such a drive to add this
Mm,
to a company's repertoire
yeah,
of reaching people, is
right.
that when you're looking at some of those numbers, you realize about how, if we break this down into like how a finance team may look at it, right?
Yeah, right.
I spend X number of dollars. How many eyes can I get on this ad? In years past, it used to be how much money can I spend during a Super Bowl
Yeah,
commercial,
yeah,
and how
100%.
many eyes are going to be on that.
Right.
And that's what those teams would weigh. The fact is that we're all viewing content on these
I
things.
know.
So
Yep.
how do you reach people where they're consuming content,
Mm,
where they're watching, their favorite YouTube live stream
yep.
series? Um, what people are they, where are they looking for opinions from everything? So when it comes to like we were talking before, like, where are companies actually looking
Yeah,
for these kinds of influencers or
yeah,
these
absolutely.
creatives? 9 out of 10 times, and that's hyperbole there,
Yeah, yeah, yep.
it's probably going to be on YouTube. It's
Yeah.
someone who's built a community. It's someone who's, taking something that they are, an expert in,
Mm,
and trying to share that knowledge. And that's, honestly, it's one of the biggest things that, like, when you and I first started talking, it's one of the reasons
yep.
why I was so excited that we actually started like a line of communication here,
Yeah,
because you have passion, you share your knowledge with people, you try to educate them and
yep.
show them different ways of doing work, and
Mm.
that's like the ideal person, and you happen to be on the ideal platform that we were looking for. So
Well, and that's one of the things I talk to people about YouTube, and that's one of the things I it's almost like I'm a YouTube evangelist in some ways because it's like
yeah,
YouTube is the perfect platform, perfect storm of a platform. Let me put it that way. So it's like, yeah, it's fully search engine, right? And so
yeah,
like people are going there searching, but it's also like fully community driven. So if you
yeah.
are creating high value stuff to a community like that, sometimes people take notice of that, you know what I mean? So it,
Oh yeah.
try to jump into a community and provide value. And look at this. Anson's in the chat here.
Hello, Anson.
Anson,
Long time no see.
yeah, Anson, we miss you too. We miss you too. I feel like we should go back to California or something.
Oh, that was so much fun.
That was
That was so
fun.
much fun.
For those of you just tuning in, or um the little backstory, we spent some time. Anson, myself, and Sean and other Lumix creators spent some time in California recently in November and
Yeah.
making some content and just having a good time. Lumix is life. Hashtag. There's a new hashtag for you, Sean.
Yeah, there you go.
Lumix is life. Okay. I like that. Anson's good to have you here. Again, if you are just joining us, we're talking about how Panasonic LUMIX is, using this whole influencer content creator trend to create brand awareness and, drive sales. I mean, really, that's what it comes down to, is driving
Yeah.
sales and just building community, right? Building community. And if you have any questions about this topic, any questions for Sean, any questions for me, both of us, jump into the chat and make sure you toss those questions in there and we can have a conversation based around
Yeah.
those. Um, okay. So, so you work, Sean, with people from around the world, really.
Yes.
Like on a, like, yes, you are Lumix USA, and there's different
Mhm.
aspects, different Lumix, however you want to put it, Lumix
Yeah.
Japan, Lumix India, that type of thing. But Lumix is working with creators from around the world. Like, what are some of the benefits that you are seeing from this whole concept of working with content creators and working with influencers on these different platforms? Like, what are some of the benefits that are coming from this? And that might be a loaded question. I understand that because some of it might be measurable, some of it, might not be measurable, but what are some of those benefits?
So it's a really interesting way to look at things, right? Because we're often looking at I'm going to do X because I want to get,
Mm,
B or,
yep,
Z from it,
yep,
right?
yep,
And of course that's always there. So when it comes to, brand awareness,
yeah,
um working with photographers and videographers, or what now every brand calls creators,
Yeah.
um, globally, just it's more of, think of like a coverage
Mm,
concept, right? The more people in the more various areas that are talking about a specific product, just by the statistics, you're gonna get more people to see
yeah.
the product.
Yep.
Um, and whether it's a camera, a lens, from our products, it's all a positive.
Yeah.
So what we are seeing benefit wise out of, on a very base level, it's that, hey, we're getting that many more people actually talking about the Lumix products.
Mm.
And obviously, as we joked before about, like, hey, look at the focus on that,
Yeah.
that kind of also helps,
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
when we
Yep.
make the changes hardware wise that people have been asking us to
Yeah.
make. But aside from what you'd think in the normal, kind of business approach, the biggest benefit that I see from all of this is that there is a much larger community of educated
Mm.
photographers and videographers now.
Yeah.
And it's not as much from what we do as a brand, or what
Right.
any camera brand or technology brand does. It's that we've worked with a number of people like yourself that are the ones that can take the technology that we make and provide the experiential side of it
Mm.
to those around them. And it just happens to be that, like, it's our product that you're using to do it
Right.
with.
Yeah.
And the feedback from that is what helps a company like us develop forward.
Mm.
Figure out, okay, what is it that these people that are actually using the equipment, what is it that they want to see with it? And that's where the influencer, quote unquote, influencer
Yep.
marketing is, that kind of an immeasurable benefit
Yeah.
back to the company,
That's cool.
because you get real world people using it.
Yeah.
And nothing against engineers
Yep.
or even myself, because I do some of that stuff as well for the company. We're a one direction view in
Right.
in companies. All companies are. When you start getting the fact check of, hey, we think this is how it should be done because in a
Mm.
lab this is the best way to do it, then you get like 30 other people that are like, well,
No.
maybe not.
Yeah. I tried it
Maybe
outside.
go
And
this way a little bit. That's what helps it grow, and that's the huge benefit that any company is going to get from working down this path.
yeah, that's really cool. I love that. I'm gonna jump up, pop this up. Andrew from LinkedIn. Remember, LinkedIn is working. Everyone,
All
you
right.
guys on this side of the world, we're doing well. Andrew, thanks for jumping into the chat. I
Yeah.
did see this pop in as well. Paul did say I didn't see any advertising for the Lumix S52X from Panasonic. I'm a Panasonic fan. Oh, microwaves, nice.
Yeah.
But I made my decision to buy as a result of following influencers. Oh, like Caleb. Well, Paul, I do
Yeah.
appreciate that. And I think that's, I mean, really, that's what it comes down to, is like getting that in front of people, like getting your product in front of eyeballs. and and a lot of
Exactly.
times like these, there's communities, pockets of communities, and you can get your product in front of those eyeballs.
Yeah. Yeah, and this goes to the analogy like I made before about how it used to be that if you wanted to advertise,
Hmm.
you had to like do like a Super Bowl commercial, and those are like $20 million commercials.
Yeah.
And the fact is, most companies aren't going to be spending that on
Yep.
on a singular product. It's
Right.
usually it's brand awareness, things like that. Like, we've all seen the commercials during the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But even when it comes to like ad delivery,
Yeah.
Paul comments, as we just pulled up, Paul saying like didn't see any advertising for the S5 Mark II, or the S5 Mark II X. A lot of that is actually, kind of probably on purpose,
Hmm.
because companies have gotten very smart with how we advertise.
Yeah.
Regular advertising dollars, yeah, you're going to see, banner ads, you're going to
Yep.
see YouTube pre rolls
Mm.
and stuff like that,
Yep.
and those always will still have their place. But In our case, not completely, but
Yep.
in a lot of the cases, like you see with the areas that I work within the company, it is more about what Paul's second comment is there. You know,
Yeah.
general
Yep.
perception. General perception is that manufacturer is selling the product, but influencer is giving practical insight into the product experience. That in today's world
Mm.
is way more valuable
Yeah.
than me sitting here rolling a camera and running an ad.
Yep.
Yes, there's a number of people that is what you look for. It's, you know, the newspaper column ad, it's the TV short spot, you know, in a
Billboard.
commercial,
Yep.
you know, billboards, things
Yep.
like that. We gain a little bit of that. And that's where you see more brand. Like,
Mm.
hey, I heard about this thing called Lumix. And then, you know, you go to the YouTube world or the Instagram world or TikTok or LinkedIn
Yep.
world that you view on. And that's where you start seeing people actually use the equipment. And
Yeah.
that is influencer marketing.
Yeah.
That's why I think people tend to not necessarily link influencer marketing with a good thing.
Yeah. Right.
Influencer marketing's been around for
Yeah.
decades. It's always
100%.
been done. You had high level celebrities that are pitching a product for you. That's influencer marketing.
Put Michael
It's just
Jordan in
what
a
platform
commercial.
it lives on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that brings me to this question is like, what platforms, we talked a little bit about the platforms, but what platforms are brands looking at as a priority? I feel like TikTok right now is like there's almost a lot of push towards like TikTok and things like that. But like when it comes down to it, like what are brands looking for, looking at as a priority?
So this is gonna, I think, vary depending on the product.
Yeah, I got you.
So as a good example, uh, we have the G100.
Mm-hmm.
That's our, you know, call it our entry level, travel friendly, throw it in your pocket kind of
Yep.
interchangeable lens camera.
Yep.
That kind of camera, you will probably see more results of that to to TikTok, to platforms where it's people that want to, you know, pick up something better than their phone.
Mm-hmm.
You see this trend that a real camera is going to give you, you know, better results, which they do.
Yeah.
Um, and that's where you're going to see more of that kind of influence being played.
Right.
Where you go to products like S5 Mark II, S5 Mark II X, those are going to be much more on things like YouTube, on Instagram,
Interesting.
even technically on things like LinkedIn.
Yeah.
LinkedIn has its whole own area. That's
Yeah.
where we typically are talking about like our box cameras, the
Yeah.
BGH1 and the BS1H.
Yeah. Interesting.
So as far as like, if you have to pick one of them, the vast majority of time it's going to be prioritizing YouTube because
Gotcha.
that is the most cross,
Yeah.
you know, delivery area. You have YouTube Shorts, you have, you know, posts on YouTube for like the 5 people that use them, and then you have like, you know, standard form videos,
Yep.
and you have live streaming. But a lot of times you'll see people will branch that kind of content out onto things like TikTok, and I think the biggest thing that people maybe take for granted is that TikTok has arguably, and I don't have statistics to
Yep.
back this
Yep.
up offhand.
I think I know where you're going.
TikTok has, if not the same, if not more,
Mm.
potential buying power
Yeah.
than YouTube or Instagram
Yeah.
for
Interesting.
the people that are on it.
Yep.
So
Yeah. And that's what
there's your
Anson,
answer, Anson.
yeah, that's what Anson was asking here. TikTok, the buying power of TikTok and Instagram. Hmm.
Yeah,
Now,
because it's going where people are consuming content.
right.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing is as a company goes, you have to take some preconceived notions of platforms out
Yeah.
and dig into the analytics of it.
Mm.
That's the boring side of the job.
Yeah.
Literally go in and say, well, you know, what's the average selling price of a product on
Yeah.
TikTok versus YouTube?
Mm.
Yeah.
That is such an interesting world to me, Sean. It really is. Like, it's so intriguing to me. So intriguing.
Yeah.
But I do need to just interrupt, and I need to pop this up on the screen here real quick, Sean.
Yeah.
Now, if you're watching and if you're looking at possibly getting started with your own video content, I encourage you to go and download my video playbook, which I have a link in the description. You can go and maybe you're just kind of getting started. Maybe you have your own business. You're just kind of getting started with video content, kind of exploring the idea. Well, this video playbook I designed to help you in that regard, like beginner entry level things. It's like for the non-video expert. And you know what? Chapter 16 is all about collaborating with influencers and partners. That's actually in this playbook that I put together a long time ago. So you can go down and go down in the description, click the link after this episode, and make sure you download this free video playbook, and it'll help you get started with video content for your business brand, or maybe your influence, right? Like what we're talking about
Yeah.
here. So go and download that. Okay. Paul brought up, let me take a look here.
Yeah.
Fastest growth in age among subscribers is 45 plus. That's an interesting little tidbit there.
Yeah. This is part of that, where you have to take some of the preconceived notions out about what area and what its value is
Yeah.
in the modern world. When TikTok started, at least in the US, yes, it was very young. It
Yeah.
was,
Dance
it was
videos and
super short form.
yeah.
As Anson points out, it's super short form
Mm.
content. Basically, for anyone that's been around long enough, it's basically the modern Vine
Yeah.
for
Right.
content.
Yep.
But the reality is that think of how many people have been progressing through, as we all get older, these things that have been sitting around and
Yeah.
they've been in the background for a while, we all start kind of getting a little bit attached to them, sometimes in a very unhealthy way.
Mhm.
I'm a big proponent of, I do not encourage people to doom scroll on social, because that's a whole nother world
Yeah.
there.
Oh man.
But when you start looking at average age group, you have to start seeing where those viewers are coming from.
Yeah.
Good example, the LUMIX USA account.
Yeah.
For LUMIX Live, our average age group that is consuming content on
Yeah.
our channel is that pretty much between 25 and 45.
Yeah.
That's very low.
Yeah.
In the age group, enough that the president of our company, or director of our imaging division,
Yep.
even came out and had to, pointed out that, S5 Mark II and the Mark IIX, that new series, as to how large and disproportionate the adoption of that product is to younger
Yeah.
generations.
Yeah.
A lot of that has to do with just one, market trends change,
Mhm.
people's desires change, and everyone always gets caught up in like, well, younger generation has cell phones and the cameras on the phones are good enough. It's like, well, the data is saying that it's not.
Yeah.
People want real cameras and they want capable cameras.
Sometimes they want just a little bit more than a phone
Yeah,
or a
yeah, and
lot.
if it's a little bit more, you get a little bit more,
Yep.
and then
Yep.
you kind of grow through it. But yeah, the platforms like TikTok, it's one of the reasons why we are, at least as of before we started this recording, this stream, when I checked
Yep.
it, we are the number one camera brand on
Yeah.
TikTok,
Yeah.
the LUMIX USA account. And if you go there and look at our content and like the skits and stuff that we put
Yep.
up there versus what we put on all the other platforms, you'll see that they are very different pieces of content.
Yeah. Right. And that's
But
interesting. Can you just explain a little bit what you're doing on TikTok
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
like maybe why that is kind of a successful thing that you're doing on TikTok, honestly?
Yeah, totally. So some of the biggest things to remember about the content you want to deliver, and this is a big point if you are a creator on any of these different
Yeah.
platforms. There are styles and types of content that tend to be more native to different platforms.
Yeah.
So TikTok obviously tends to be a faster paced piece of content. So What I mean by that is, as Anson pointed out, it's short form.
Yeah.
Um,
Like
Although
moves.
you do have to remember that if you want to make money on TikTok, I believe it is you have to have a video that's at least 1 minute long to monetize.
Interesting. Okay.
So some long
Yep.
format
Yep.
is becoming a little more important. But the type of content is much more humorous. It's
Yeah.
things that people want to be able to sit on their phone, watch something quickly, scroll to the next one, watch
Yeah.
something quickly, scroll to the next one, and they
Yep.
have to be engaging. So the content that we run on things like TikTok are usually more inspirational, usually more tongue-in-cheek humor.
Yeah.
We did an entire series on that where it was, let's take your favorite scene from a movie. And we did things like an homage to like The Matrix,
Yeah. Sweet.
to Blade Runner. And the whole purpose of that was to show color styles,
Yeah.
how you can grade and affect your image, but it was framed in a humorous way because it was, how do you dress up your Zoom
Yeah.
meetings?
Right. Yeah.
And
That's
that's how you bring some of that humor into
yeah.
it. You're still teaching
Yep.
because you're showing what can be done and you're using a real camera to do it, but you're fitting the message to that platform so that people kind of get a chuckle out of it.
Yeah. That's so
And
cool.
it's awesome.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works cross-platform, doesn't always work
Yeah.
cross-platform.
Right.
But
So, Anson here says, "Don't attack my nightly bedtime routine, Sean. Doom scrolling." You attacked. Chose
oh
violence on
man.
that one. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see. Paul, video marketing. 7-year-old granddaughter wants her dad to set her up with a TikTok account. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Yep.
I don't
Not
know.
even going to go to that one.
Yeah, yeah. We're not going to give any parenting advice on this show. That's a whole
No.
different episode. That's a whole different episode, Sean.
Yeah.
So this has been a really great conversation, and time is flying by in this
Oh yeah.
conversation, Sean. So one of the things that you mentioned before, like towards the beginning of the episode, was kind of like supporting a creator, kind of the difference between supporting a creator, what that might look like, versus like sponsored marketing and
Yeah.
actually like money behind some of the content that they're making. Like,
Yeah.
can you kind of explain what you mean by this a little bit? Like, what does
Yeah.
supporting a creator mean?
So, in the way that I operate and kind of work with, and we have different groups within the company that handle this. We have a group
Yep.
that handles sponsorships. We
Mhm.
have what I do, which is closer to that community management
Yeah.
side. There are the opportunities to say, hey, there's a new product that we've got coming out. We're going to put you under NDA.
Mhm.
This way we can talk freely about products before they're released.
Yeah.
Details of those NDAs are always kept between the person that signs it and the company. And that is the kind of more the product
Yeah.
side of it. That is, we're going to give you advance notice to this. If it's something you're interested in, we'll get you a copy of the product early. Usually there's some stipulations there, but it's on the level of firmware related to it.
Mhm.
And that's more, you want an opportunity for your channel to get the jump on everybody else with an opinion on new product, play around with it. And that has huge ramifications for a
Yeah.
couple different reasons. Obviously, if you're a newer, smaller channel and you've got the eye of a brand to where they're reaching out to you with this, it usually means that they feel that your personal brand or your style of delivery fits the narrative of
Mm.
what the company is basically building that product for.
Yeah. Sweet.
And it's not, it sounds like it's a kind of nefarious way of doing things, like your brand fits our kind of
Yeah.
guidelines of what we want. But the truth is that none of these conversations, at least in my experience, working with Panasonic, and when I was in photo retail prior to this, I have yet to ever run into a imaging brand
Mm.
in this world that does it in a nefarious, controlling way.
Yeah.
So that's like the one piece. That's where you get like the free gear.
Right.
And you see a lot of people that post online after you see a video and they're like, oh, you're only saying that because you got free gear. The truth is, and I can tell you from when I reach out to everybody and I'm like, hey, we've got something cool coming out.
Yep.
You want to check it out? That's exactly how I approach it.
Totally.
It's we've got something cool. I
Yep.
think that you'll like this product. I would love to get it to you early and get you under NDA so I can tell you about the
Yeah,
product.
totally.
And after that point, there are no strings in that category. It is whatever you're going to say about the product,
Yep.
however you feel about it, however you want to use it. That's up to you. My goal is to just put the camera or the lens or whatever in your hands
Mhm.
and make sure that you know what our directive was with it, why we designed it, why we came out with it, and what our thought process is. If you agree with it, cool. If
Yep.
not, that's fine too.
Right.
That's what makes that a much easier path for a lot, at least the way we develop and we work with influencer marketing. But then you go to the paid sponsorship side. Now, paid sponsorships are, I would say, from an outside view, they can be a little bit murkier
Mm.
in how some people can receive them.
Yeah.
And receive them by, I mean, the viewers viewing that their favorite YouTuber takes a paid sponsorship.
Right.
And that's going to come down to how the company structures it. With Lumix, we structure the paid sponsorships, at least here in the US, since those are the only ones that I can actually qualify to speak on.
Yep.
It's usually things where it's like, hey, we want to sponsor you, and the requirements out of it are 3 videos, 3 TikTok posts, or 3 YouTube shorts, whatever fits within your, your ecosystem
Mhm.
of what you post on. And it's usually centered around a product. So a lot of people have probably seen S5 Mark II or Mark II X posts going up on various different YouTube platforms, things like that. And you'll have the disclosure, because in the United States you have to disclose
Yep.
if you are receiving monetary compensation for a video, a piece of production that goes online. But ultimately, in the end, again, it's we're paying you for your time
Yeah.
to do this. It's not a you have to do this. If you don't, if you don't want to take it, you don't take it. We usually find another way to do some stuff, that fits with that creator's plan. But even when it comes to the paid sponsorship stuff, the amount that we as the company take over on any of that stuff is very minimal.
Yeah. It's not like you're
Um,
scripting it out for
oh
them.
hell no,
Yeah.
hell no,
Yeah, right.
no. That from Lumix. That is a massive no
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
our lexicon. We do not do the, hey, we're going to sponsor you and we
You
need
have
you to say X, Y, and Z.
yeah.
That does
Yep.
not happen.
Yeah. Nice.
Um, and the reason that doesn't happen is because that's just cheap
Yeah, totally.
across the board. For the creator, it's cheap. For the company to do it, it's cheap. And cheap, I'm using in the bad terminology.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a really low move.
Well, and
Um,
it kind of, like, hurts that community a little bit too, I feel like.
oh
Like,
yeah,
it's because it's not necessarily like whether it's opinions or how that creator would speak, you know what I mean? So, yeah,
exactly. And
definitely.
some sponsorships that get done where it's a formal, like, hey, we are going to sponsor 3 or 4 videos
Yep.
in a series for you. Most of the time when you see us doing stuff like that, it's because we've had conversations with that creator
Yeah.
before,
Right.
with that photographer, that videographer, and they've shown interest in wanting to actually do a bunch of stuff with the camera.
Yeah.
And this is where I can say pretty confidently, 9 out of 10 times here, it is that sponsorship funding that is negotiated is all down to time
Mm.
and the ability for them to create the video that they want to create with it.
Right.
So it's more, hey, I want to be able to do a video like G9 Mark II. I want
Yeah.
to be able to shoot a video and I want to go to, say, the Sahara Desert, and I want to be able to go photograph animals.
Right.
The sponsorship there really is, well, all right, we'll fund you to go do
Yeah.
this.
Mhm.
The return we request out of it, or contractually
Yep.
expect out of it, is 3 videos.
Yeah.
You pitch us what topics you want to talk about on it, and we'll say, like, yeah, we'd love to see that topic, or maybe that topic's not really something we care about at this
Totally.
point.
Mhm.
And that's about the level that kind of stuff happens, and that happens across the board.
Oh, yeah.
with everything that we do. Um, so I think it's a tough position for a creator to be in, especially if like you review product and you try to
Yeah.
maintain independence. But I think the more people understand that sponsored content does not always mean that you've bought that person and
Right.
bought their opinions.
Yeah.
At least from our perspective, that is the furthest thing that is truly the furthest thing from the truth.
Yeah.
There is no I'm buying an opinion here. It is I like what you're doing. You're making some really cool videos, and there's been a conversation that, hey, you want to try to do this. All
Mm.
right, cool. Let's sponsor you to go do that.
Yeah.
And it happens to be our product. From a technical review perspective of content, the only time that I ever see content that is done before a video gets posted is if there is questions from
Mm.
the person
Gotcha.
uh, on a technical level, like,
Yeah.
hey, did I get this spec right?
Right. Yep.
Or
Some of some of those
did
fine
I
details.
misspeak here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Outside of that, there's no prior approval or anything like that with
Yeah.
with the content that we do.
No, I think
So
this is incredibly helpful because this live show is for maybe businesses or brands that are trying to do like video content on their own. So like taking what you've been saying and applying it to maybe like a clothing boutique, in
yeah,
downtown, like s- what what would you say are some of those like key elements? Let's say you're taking it from like this global perspective, right? Like how would we bring that to maybe the clothing boutique or the coffee shop or whatever that might be? Like what are some like just a few like quick key elements that you would take from what you do to those settings?
yeah. So first off, I think it's look for don't have blinders on
Hmm.
with the type of people that you want to work with.
Yeah.
Yes, all brands, whether you're big multinational, multi-billion dollar companies,
Yep.
or you're the mom and pop shop around the corner,
Yeah.
the logic is always going to be the same.
Hmm.
We all have that ideal person that we want to reach for our product, and we know where they're looking for their kind of content.
Yeah.
Use data to inform where you should be looking. Um, and data is one of those things that you can relatively easily find that kind of
Yeah.
information. Google search words, keywords, things like
Yeah.
that. Go on to YouTube and
Mm.
just search
Yeah.
a related term to what it is that you're selling. See what people are saying,
Yeah.
and look for those that seem to be stand out. For being able to execute this kind of stuff, know that in a lot of times it's not going to cost hard dollars.
Mhm.
A lot of times it's make a good relationship with
Yeah.
those people.
Yeah.
Um, make a good relationship and show support to that channel, because at first a lot of times both sides are going to be kind of feeling the water. It's like
Yep.
dating.
Yeah.
Both
Right. Yeah.
sides are going to feel the water. Is
Yep.
this really something I want to do? Is this a brand I want to be tied to?
Mhm.
Is this is the person that I'm talking to at this company even remotely interested
Yeah.
in what they're trying to ask me to do?
Right.
Um, don't use forum emails. Forum emails are like the worst thing you can send any creative person if you're coming from a company.
Yeah.
If you want to
Mm.
work with somebody, take the time,
Yeah.
write an email, do a
Mm.
little bit of research about that person. Understand the channel or the social media platform that they're on,
Yeah.
to actually show that you care and truthfully actually care about what
Right.
you're asking someone to do. Um, Gone are the days that you can make it sound like you care,
Yeah.
because people see through it real quick.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Um,
That's one
but
thing
yeah,
with social media.
oh yeah, yeah, and make sure that what you are asking someone to do for content, um, make sure that it is something that is a mutually beneficial.
Yeah.
execution.
Yeah, love that.
Um,
It's a good word.
many companies, many companies will do a very one-sided
Mm,
uh, result,
yeah.
but they'll dress it up as if you're going to get the best results out of it as
Yeah.
well. Just make sure that when you reach out and you talk to these people and you're talking to people that you want to have work with your product or check out your product, be sincere,
Mm,
make sure that it is mutually beneficial, because if it's good for the community, it's good for your brand.
yeah.
That's the way I approach every conversation I have with anyone that I work with. It's got to be good for both of us, or I don't necessarily see a big benefit. With the caveat being that there are many times where I will want it to be much more beneficial for the person that I'm
Mm,
working with, because I really do believe in what that creator is doing.
right.
And I can see that maybe sometimes our influence in the market could help that person get to the next level.
Interesting. Yeah.
That's a whole nother
Cool. That's a whole nother
world we
show.
can go down. Yeah, yeah,
That's really cool. Now, one of the things I like doing is the guest expert one thing. Is that your one thing, or do you have something else that you want to share as your one thing? Because here's what the one thing is like, if you don't get anything else from this whole conversation, the one thing is like one practical thing that you can take away from this whole episode.
yeah.
What do you want to say to that?
So,
What's your one thing?
so I have, if it's okay, I
Yep.
have one thing for both sides of this
Let's
conversation,
go. Yeah.
for
I
the
like that.
for the aspiring influencer
Yeah.
and the company looking.
Okay.
The company looking for the influencer, be true to your brand.
Nice.
Make sure that the people you engage with are genuine, that enjoy your product, that they don't have to have the biggest, greatest name out there, because the
Mhm.
truth is, the world doesn't care
Yeah.
if you've got a 27 million follower person
Right.
talking up your brand.
Yep.
Sure, some people do.
Yep.
So be true to the brand. Go down the path that you want your brand to go and stick to it.
Love it.
For the influencer or
Yeah.
the photographer, videographer that's looking to get into this, just be yourself.
Hmm.
Do the content that you enjoy doing.
Yeah.
Get known and seen for the things that you enjoy showing. Don't kowtow to what the newest, latest,
Oh,
kind of big name trend is out there.
yeah.
Stick to the content you do, get noticed for it.
Love it.
Brands want authenticity.
Hmm.
And they want real authenticity.
Yeah.
We don't want people that are just 1 minute going to sign a contract with me, the next minute they want to go sign a contract with somebody else.
Yeah. Right.
No one has time for that. And
Yeah.
that's really bad for your own
Hmm.
brand as well.
Yeah. Sweet. That was an epic one thing, Sean. Epic. Capital letters. Oh, man.
Epic.
And I loved what you said earlier too. Like, if it's good for your community, it's good for your brand, like your business and stuff like that. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, Sean, I can't believe that we have already gotten to an hour mark. This is crazy. And that's usually where I like to cap it. So I think we're gonna cap that conversation right here, Sean. And this has been so good. I might have to have you on again sometime and we can go down some other avenues of what all this means, So
Yeah.
Sean, I appreciate you being on the show. I'm going to take you off camera here, and it's like you see the time pop up, and then it's like such an abrupt ending, right? like how can we?
Yeah.
The outros are always the most awkward. I don't know about your live stream on the LUMIX USA, like you might just like shut it down, which is totally cool, But sometimes the outros are a little awkward sometimes, but
They're very awkward.
yeah,
I
I
don't know when
appreciate
to
you being
stop
on here,
talking.
Sean. And thank you everyone for jumping in the chat. Sean, you stay on. I'll chat with you here in a sec. All right. Thank you everyone for jumping into the chat. If you did, it's been such a great conversation. And you know what? This video, this conversation is going to live on these different platforms. So if you're watching on YouTube, this video is going to stay on YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on LinkedIn, all of these are going to stay on those platforms. So you can come back, reference these anytime you want. I'm also going to be sharing reels from this episode as well. So I'm going to take this episode and cut cut it up and put reels out on Instagram, the Video Lab SF, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube. All those reels will go up there as well. So thank you so much for jumping in the chat, watching, and just having a conversation. And again, make sure you check out that link in the description for the Video Lab video playbook. It's a free resource for you to go and get started making your own video content. Well, I will see you next week. I've got John Meyer, founder of Lead More Coaching, on the episode. And we're just going to be talking about this: why make video content? A simple question, and there's so much to it. And we're going to kind of explore like how his process and his what he does with video content, how that's kind of helping grow his business. So make sure you tune in next Monday, February 5th, and we'll have a conversation with John Meyer, founder of Lead More Coaching. Thanks, everyone.